So it should be working now. So we are live on DTI Batan's Facebook page. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the fifth DTI SMERA SME Roving Academy webinar. Um,
Hi, good afternoon, Sir Kyrie.
Good afternoon po. We'll just request everyone to put their mics on mute for now. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our DTI SME Roving Academy webinar. This is the fifth in a series for this year, and it will be conducted via Zoom because of the ongoing pandemic. And this is a program of the Department of Trade and Industry here in Bataan. So our topic for today is none other than managing cost and profit by Miss Melinda T. Karasig. She is the hospital administrator of Isaac and Catalina Medical Center here in Balangas City. So before we begin, I would like to call on my friend Edmer if he can please start things off with a short prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Kerry. So we kindly ask everyone to feel the presence of our Lord. Lord God, magandang hapon po, and we thank you this afternoon for bringing us again together. Although we are at our different homes and offices, we thank you that we have this chance to meet and learn from your knowledge. We thank you for all the people that made this possible, our leaders, our guest speaker, and also, most importantly, our attendees. We pray that the learnings here will be put into good use in our businesses, especially at these trying times, and most of all, a service to our community. We pray that all this bring you glory to Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you, Sir Curry.
Thank you, Edmer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So just thank you for that, Edmer. So just a short a few rules for the next 2 hours, no. Hingin ko lang po ang inyong assistance and support para po maayos po ang ating webinar. Kung maaari lang po ay mag-mute muna tayo, lalo na po yung mga nandito na yun sa Zoom. Mute lang po muna natin ang ating mics at ang ating video para po mas maganda po ang connection natin during the call. We have a chat box po. So dyan po sa inyong screen sa Zoom, meron po dyang button sa baba na pwede nyo pong i-click. So either on your desktop or on your smartphone, click nyo lang po yung chat box para pwede nyo po kaming i-contact, kami pong mga host. So that's me. Then we have Edmer and Miss Glyza who are also on the call to take in your questions so that later we can present them to the speaker at the convenient time. We encourage you to take down your own notes. And there's also a button there, raise hand, if you need to really call our attention so that we can turn on your mic and also your video. And also in respect of your privacy, we'd like to inform everyone that we are recording this session. And in fact, we are live right now on Facebook at the DTI Bataan page. So for those who are on the DTI Bataan page watching this on FB Live, please comment so that we can take note of your attendance and your presence also, so we can acknowledge you later on. Thank you for that. We'd like to thank our partners, so DTI Bataan. So in behalf of DTI Bataan, we definitely want to thank our development partners for this program, none other than Mayor Francis Garcia of Balanga City, and of course his office for investment promotion, the City Economic Investment Development Office, or Team Invest Balanga. So that is that's actually my team with Edmer and Glyza. So again, if I didn't say my name, I'm Kerry Alonto. I am the head of the City Economic Investment Development Office. We also want to thank Harold Macapagal of Balanga City and his company Inspire. So if you would like to know more about Inspire, you would like to know more about their products, just visit their Facebook page. Right now, their latest product is an automated contact tracing system that is very timely and can be used in this time of the pandemic, not just by government offices, but schools, commercial establishments, and the like. So if you'd like to know more about that, please visit Inspire. And of course, we want to thank JCI Bataan. JCI Bataan is a youth organization for people ages 18 to 40, and they have helped us gather our invite speakers actually for these webinars as of late, and they continue to support us. So this is a chapter that was started in 2018 here in Bataan, but it has been around for quite some time already. There are more than 200,000 young active citizens all over the world who are part of JCI, and it is the only non-nation member of the United Nations. The mission of JCI Bataan is to provide development opportunities that empower young people to create positive change, and their vision or our vision is to be the leading global network of young active citizens. So if you want to join or know more about JCI Bataan, you can just send me a message. We can direct you to the current president, none other than BJ Banson of Balanga City. So with that, unfortunately, our provincial director for DTI Bataan is on inspection. So marami po tayong very busy po ang ating DTI as we are opening more establishments in the province. So our provincial director is none other than Ms. Nelin Cabahug, and she is very helpful and she is very supportive of our of this particular engagement. No, so this all our intentions aligned with regards to promoting entrepreneurship and business development. So nagkataon po na kinailangan po i-roll out ang ating SME Roving Academy, and napag-usapan po namin na pwede natin gawin through webinars or through Zoom. So unfortunately, she cannot be here for this afternoon, but we do have someone from DTI on the call right now. So we have Miss Lei Bautista Ramos, one of the officers of DTI Bataan.
Hello po, good afternoon po sa lahat. Ayun. In behalf po of our Provincial Director, Ms. Nelin Cabahog, na yun nga po nasa inspection siya today sa mga barbershop natin, no, kung compliant sila ngayon. Pinaparating po niya na nagpapasalamat po kami sa pangunguna po niya. Ma'am Melinda, maraming salamat po ma'am for accommodating po yung aming topic po for today. Kahit po medyo busy kayo, alam namin. Thank you po so much for accommodating us. And to the Balanga LGU sa pangunguna po ni Mayor Francis and Sir Kyrie, maraming salamat po sa pagtulong din po sa DTI Bataan. And to our partners po, Inspire and JCI, maraming salamat din po. And syempre, maraming salamat din po sa mga MSMEs po natin na kasama natin ngayong hapon. Maraming salamat sa pagbibigay ng oras. Alam niyo po, ito po talaga ay para po talaga sa inyo na ang DTI po ay hindi titigil kahit na may pandemic pa tayo, no, para matulungan po ang MSMEs natin na umunlad pa dun sa kanilang mga negosyo. So ngayong hapon, marami tayong matututunan for sure galing po kay Ms. Melinda sa kung paano nga po ba to properly cost and price yung ating mga products po. So in behalf po ulit ng DTI Bataan, maraming salamat po and good afternoon po.
Thank you, Ms. Lei. Good afternoon. Again, good afternoon, everyone. So to our MSMEs present, we hope that you will enjoy the program. And please feel free to write down your questions so that we can ask our speaker later. So to introduce our speaker is none other than Ms. Melinda T. Karasig. She graduated from the National College of Business and Arts, and she is a certified public accountant with a master's in management hospital administration from the Philippine Christian University. She's a fellow of the Philippine College of Hospital Administration, and she is a licensed real estate broker and a licensed real estate appraiser. She has more than 37 years of solid working experience in the areas of accounting, finance, and HR administration, and 30 years of which are in a managerial capacity. She joined various industries such as the hospital industry, the real estate industry, banking, manufacturing, and retail industries. And right now, she's none other than our hospital administrator here at ICMC, Isaac and Catalina Medical Center in Balanga City. So I'd like to ask Ms. Melinda just to say hi before we proceed with the rest of the program. Ma'am.
Hello, everybody. I am very excited to speak right now and discuss costs.
Thank you, Ma'am Melinda. So Ma'am Mel will be giving us a talk on managing cost and profit. So to our MSMEs, ito po ay tungkol sa cost accounting. So marami po tayong matututunan kay Ma'am. Pero since earlier I asked you, those who are present, to go to menti.com and to use the code 87067, meron po tayong kinagather na inyong mga responses pagdating po dito sa pause. Sorry about that.
So later sa mga participants po natin, the purpose of the menti.com is for us to be able to feel ano po yung mga concerns or primary kumbaga perspective ng ating participants. Likewise, later po we will use this menti.com para po makuha yung inyong mga questions. So even along the way po, pwede nyo nang i-post pag may question kayo para hindi nyo makalimutan sa menti.com or doon po sa chat room and we will capture it for you. Thank you po.
So, ang tanong po natin sa menti.com, ano po ang gusto niyong matutunan ngayong hapon? So, we have a Wordle. So, basically, you can still go to menti.com if you want to add more. Ma'am Mel, ito po ang ating mga gustong matutunan ng ating mga bisita na yung hapon. No? So, they want to know about growth of capital, how to give the best price. Of course, management, profit, proper handling of profit, managing cost and profit. Pag-manage po sa cost, so cost management. Maybe tips and techniques on effective product pricing and how to manage cost and profit. Proper costing. Ano po ang pwedeng matuto sa tubo o sa pagtubo ng benta. How to earn profit. Tungkol po sa pagpresyo, how to raise profit, and tungkol sa cost. So definitely we're going to try to learn more on techniques on cost and profit, and we have someone who has more than 3 decades of experience in that area. No? So, Ma'am Mel, if you have any reactions to this?
Medyo widespread ang ating topic, no? So, I will try to answer all of your questions later on.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am. So, with that, I think I will turn the screen sharing po to your side, Ma'am Mel, so you can already flash your PowerPoint slides.
Sir?
So with that, I turn the floor over to Ms. Mel Karasig, our speaker for this afternoon. Ma'am Mel, you have the floor. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon sa lahat ng ating nanonood. We will be discussing this afternoon management of costs and profit. Thank you for your time, and I hope I will be able to give you some learning outcomes na makakatulong sa inyo lahat. So, as our learning objectives, sasagutin natin itong mga tanong na to. Unang-una, with regards to cost and profit, ang una natin tanong, where do I look? Do I look at the top or the bottom of the financial statement? We will try to answer that later. And then, which is which? Is it cost or expense? Because everybody interchangeably uses cost and expense. So we will try to define later the difference between a cost and an expense. Also, we'll try to discuss each and every cost so that we may be able to analyze which costs are okay for the business or not. Also, what do we do when we identify this cost? Do we cut cost or do we actually spend more to increase your profitability? And then, of course, we would like to know which cost we will cut first. So we will need to be able to identify which cost to prioritize to cut. And because of the current situation now, most companies are having difficulty in costing the millennial way. We will discuss that later, and also costing in the new normal. So first, let's check. Is it top or bottom? So the very first item that you will need to review when you own a company is the income statement. In the income statement, nakadetalye po doon yung inyong kita and expenses. Right now, we call it statement of financial condition because it tells the owner of the financial condition of the company, whether it's earning or not. Some income statements are truly very, very detailed, and some are simple. So basically, there are 4 parts of an income statement or the statement of financial condition. On top is the revenue, which includes your sales, And then we have cost of sales, we have expenses, and then we have the net income. So when I say top line, I'm referring to revenue and cost of sales. And when I say bottom line, I'm referring to expenses and net income. So it is important that we understand the relationship between these four very basic items before we can even start cutting costs. Okay, when we review financial statements, it is usually summarized for a period of 12 months or annually. But for some businesses, it needs to be reviewed on a monthly basis. I even had a company before which reviews income statement on a daily basis. This is so that the owners or the managers will be able to be proactive in calculating the results of operations, so that if there are changes that need to be in place, we can put it in place agad-agad, and the problems will not worsen. So remember, there are four basic items in the statement of financial condition. These are the revenues, cost of sales, expenses, and net income. Okay. Napaka-simple. I made it so simple so that you can, in one glance, analyze the financial statement. So, lahat po ng negosyo, ang ultimate goal is to increase the net income. We go back, see, the net income is our ultimate goal. We want that to be positive. We want that to keep increasing. So the bottom line is, the ultimate goal is increase the net income. And how do we increase the net income? The changes in the four areas of the statement of financial condition contributes to the changes in the net income. So the net effect on the net income depends on how your revenue, your costs, and expenses are changed also. So remember, the four items, that increase in revenue will also increase your net income. So, pag tumaas ang benta, natural, tataas din ang iyong bottom line. So, the owners will always strive to increase the revenue. That's the easiest way to increase your bottom line. And when you reduce your revenue, of course, you will also decrease your net income. So, your target is to increase your net income. So, you should push your operations to keep increasing your revenues. But, of course, revenues, hindi naman palagi siyang tataas. So, in combination, you should be able to manage also your cost of sales. Okay. So, in managing your cost of sales, we should remember that any increase in cost and expenses will decrease your net income. So, habang tumataas ang ating cost, habang tumataas ang ating gastos, lumiliit ang ating net income. At habang bumababa naman ang ating cost at ang ating expenses, tumataas ang ating income. So, the more we decrease our cost and expenses, the more we increase our net income. Remember, I always go back. The ultimate goal is to increase net income. So simple. Check your revenues. Is it increasing? If it's increasing, the net income is increasing also. If the cost is increasing, net income mo bababa. So these are the basic parts of your statement of financial condition. So ano bang difference nung cost and expense? Mukhang parang pareha lang, di ba? Cost is what? The price of an item. Expense is how much you pay for, let's say, transportation, right? But there is a distinct difference between cost and expense. Okay. As defined, no, cost is an amount that has to be paid or given up in order to get something. In business, cost is usually a monetary valuation of an effort, of a material, resources, time, and utilities consumed, risk incurred, opportunity foregone in production, and delivery of a good service. So cost is an acquisition of an asset, while expense, is money spent for cost of doing business. Expenses may be in the form of actual cash payments, like wages, transportation, gasoline, or a computed expired portion of an asset like depreciation, or an amount taken out of earnings such as bad debts. It says here that all expenses are costs, but not all costs are expenses. So there's a difference really between cost and expense. It is used interchangeably, but there's a distinct difference between the two. Okay. So a cost is an investment or an expenditure made to acquire an asset or property, while an expense is a regular disbursement required to maintain an asset. Ibig sabihin, when we buy a delivery van, that is a cost because it's an asset. While when we pay for its change oil or gasoline, that is an expense. Okay? What else is the difference? Okay. A cost is a balance sheet item. It is found in the statement of financial position. It's a payment for an asset, while an expense is an income statement item. So you find expenses in the statement of financial condition, or ito ay kabawasan sa iyong mga kita. While cost is an addition to your asset. So doon pa lang very distinct yung ating difference between a cost and an expense. An example would be, let's say you bought land and building. You place that value in a balance sheet. And the counterpart expense would be real property tax. Okay? What else is the difference? Cost does not directly affect profit margins. Meaning, if we spend for a delivery van or an asset, like a land or building or a property, it does not directly reduce your profit margins. There's no effect. It actually increases your asset. While as an expense, it directly affects your profit margin. An example would be, let's say you bought a new machine for a factory. So it doesn't add to your profit, or the cost that you paid for it does not reduce your income. It adds to your asset. While expense is the depreciation expense, or when you set aside increments or portions of the value of your machine. So that's the difference between a cost and expense. Why are we discussing the difference? So that we know and we can identify which items we need to cut or we need to add. Let's say for acquisition of a machine, maybe we need to add more machines instead of cutting costs. So because if we cannot identify what's the difference, we cannot make economic decisions that are correct. So a cost is a purchase or addition of an asset, as have been said earlier, and payments necessary to generate revenue from the purchase of an asset acquired is considered an expense. Like when you buy raw materials, let's say you are a furniture maker. So when you buy the raw materials, that is a purchase or addition as an asset. But when you pay for trucking or delivery, that is a necessary expense so that you can get the income. Okay. And for cost, if it's non-current or if it's a fixed asset acquisition, there is no impact on the capital structure. There's no effect on the ownership or the owner's equity. While for an expense, there's also no impact on capital structure. But if it's a current asset, there is an impact on the capital structure. Let's say a service vehicle, the regular PMS or preventive maintenance service has no effect on the capital structure. Ano naapektuhan niya? Ang naapektuhan niya is the statement of financial condition or the income statement. Wala siyang kabawasan o karagdagan sa iyong kapital. Okay. Cost impacts liquidity ratio if what you bought is a current asset. Remember, liquidity ratio tells us how much current asset you have as compared to your current liability. The higher the liquidity ratio, the better it is for the company. This means that you have enough assets to pay for your liabilities. While expense, there's no impact in the liquidity ratio because it affects your income statement and not your balance sheet. An example would be supplies. No? If you have supplies or if you have increases in the purchases of supplies, it will impact your liquidity ratio. While telephone and communication expense will have no impact in your liquidity ratio. Okay, now let's try to identify most of the common costs and expenses. Okay. Number one, we define cost according to management function. Number one is manufacturing cost. Ano ba yung manufacturing cost? Ito yung mga cost that is included in the production of a product, of a finished product. That includes direct labor, direct materials, and factory overhead. So all these costs are that forms part of the actual product is included in the manufacturing cost. And of course, if your business is not a factory, those are non-manufacturing costs. Or if it is a factory and you have expenses outside of the factory, that includes delivery costs, advertising costs, salaries and commission of salesmen, and administrative expenses, salaries of executives and legal expenses. These are the non-manufacturing costs. So I'm just trying to identify the different types of costs so that you're familiar with the costs. So it depends on the industry that you're in. So the costing will be different also. So there are several industries, like let's say if you are in distribution, you only have distribution cost, you don't have factory cost because you buy the products as finished goods. Not unlike a factory where you produce the product. Okay. Now, according to ease of traceability, direct costs are those that can be traced directly to a particular object of costing, such as a particular product, a department, or a branch. Let's say you have 50 Jollibee stores. So direct costs can be attributed to specific branches. Or let's say, as I've said earlier, if you have a specific product, Direct costs are those items which form part of the product. And indirect costs are those that cannot be traced to a particular object for costing or for a particular branch. Like, let's say you have an executive department. You have a main office and you have a president whose salary is, let's say, 100,000, and you have 10 companies that he is overseeing. That is an indirect cost because it's an administrative cost that is shared by all the 10 branches. Also included in indirect costs are factory overheads, like the salary of security guards, necessary still in operations, but does not form part of the product. Next is according to timing of charge against revenue. So, product costs are inventoriable costs. Ito yung ating mga raw materials. Nandyan din ulit yung direct labor, factory overhead, direct materials. And period costs are not inventoriable, meaning you cannot count them. Let's say insurance expense. You paid for a 10 million insurance of your factory or warehouse, and your premium is, let's say, 100,000. It is not attributable to a particular product. You cannot count it, but you just need to divide it by the number of months that the premium is applicable to. Okay, according to behavior in accordance with activity. So, number one is variable costs. What are variable costs? Variable costs are costs which increases or decreases depending on your sales or production. Meaning, if you have more of the items produced, the cost follows. So, if you need to produce 100 pencils, and the cost of producing 100 pencils is 1 peso each, of course, if you make the 200 pencils, the variable cost will follow the quantity of your production or sales. While fixed costs like rentals, insurance, and depreciation does not depend on the quantity of items that you produce. So, kahit ganong karami yung pinuduce mo or ganong kakonti, the insurance cost will be the same. This is much like the period cost. Ganon din ang depreciation of machines. It doesn't necessarily follow kung ilan yung na-produce ng makina na yon para yun ang maging amount of depreciation. While mixed cost is a combination or a proportion of varying costs which are both variable and fixed. Kasama siguro depende sa industry ulit na kung ano yung pinasukan mong industry or ano yung minamanage mo na industry, kung alin ang variable or fixed cost. So, a variable cost in one industry may not be a variable cost in another industry. So, according to relevance to decision making, sabi dito ay relevant costs. These costs are considered when making economic decisions for the company. A cost that will differ under alternative courses of action. Let's say you intend to buy a delivery van. So, you have the option to pay it in cash or to go for installment. If you go for installment, you have interest charges. So that the interest expense is a relevant cost in your decision. Do you want to take in the interest or not? Can you afford the interest or not? So one of the factors for relevant costs is it will affect your decision. Your management decision. Standard costs are predetermined costs based on some reasonable basis, such as past experiences, budgeted amounts, industry standards, etc. what could be a good example of standard cost? Let's say registration fees of your automobile. It doesn't change. It is a standard cost or expense. Opportunity cost. What do we mean by opportunity cost? These are benefits that are foregone while choosing one alternative management decision over another. Let's say you only have 100 items in your factory. So you have a choice between selling it at a certain price, but a shorter delivery, and also the customer will pay in cash. So these are the opportunity costs that you need to calculate before you make a business decision. Now, some costs are historical costs that will not make any difference in making a decision. Meaning, nandun na talaga yung cost na yun, whether you decide on one thing or another. You don't have any choice. The cost is already there, even if you operate, even if you work 24 hours, that sunk cost is already there. So, and then the last is controllable cost. This refers to costs which you can manage, either reduce or increase based on your controls and processes. So, napakamaraming cost na, pero actually, simple lang naman kung ano yung mga kailangan mong i-manage na cost, depending on the industry that you are in. So, just to give you additional information, meron tayong manufacturing costs. These are costs that are spent to transform materials, raw materials, into finished goods, also known as factory or production costs. Direct materials are costs of items that form an integral part of the finished product. They refer to the major parts or ingredients. Let's say you're selling cakes. So direct materials are the ingredients like flour, etc., etc. And then direct labor is the actual cost of salaries of the ones creating the product. And factory overhead are the additional cost that is not part of the product but needs to be paid so that we can sell the finished goods. Non-manufacturing costs, selling expenses. Selling expenses are also called selling and distribution expenses. These are what we need to spend for advertising, salaries and commission of sales personnel, storage costs, shipping and delivery, and customer service. These are all part of the activities of sales and customer service, which is very, very, very important also, so that you can transform your finished goods into sales and then convert it into income. And general expenses are all the rest of the expenses, like the salaries of executives and accounting staff, legal expenses, research and development, and other costs related to the general administration of the organization. So, nung maintindihan na natin kung ano yung mga cost, so what do I do? Do I cut cost or spend more? Kagaya ngayon sa pandemic, no? All the companies are aching, no? Bagsak lahat ng negosyo. And ang unang-unang measure na naiisip ng bawat negosyante, bawat manager, bawat na finance manager, and every accountant is to cut on costs. Ano ba yung cost cutting? These are processes, initiatives that focus on reducing expenses through methods such as lowering of salary costs, yung iba, terminate yung mga employees, conserving necessary resources like reducing work hours, or consolidating office spaces, like if you had 2 branches before, you will only have 1 branch now, to decrease facilities expenses in order to improve the financial health of an organization. Cost-cutting measures are often employed to keep a business operating through difficult economic periods, such as now. So, more than ever, we need to learn how to cut our costs. At kung paano yan gawin, hindi basta-basta, lahat ng empleyado tatanggalin na natin. Or, let's reduce electricity by 50%. It is not easy to determine which costs are to be cut or decreased. You have to balance its effect in the whole organization, its effect on the bottom line, and sometimes cost cutting is or spending more is actually better than cutting costs. Let's just lang po. So what do? Do we cut cost or spend more? We need to employ strategic cost cutting. We cannot just arbitrarily reduce costs. Kung bawa, naisip natin, ito yung pinakamalaking expense natin, salary. Cut it by half. So first, we should connect our cost and strategy. Ano ba yung strategy ng ating company at the moment? Are we strategizing to reduce or expand? So some businesses right now are expanding because their product maybe has become more and more important now than before. So we need to first connect our cost with our business strategy. Second, we should rethink cost in terms of capabilities. What does that mean? Let's say your business is into delivery, like Lalamove or yung mga Grab food, etc. And you think that cutting costs would mean reducing the number of your delivery drivers. But your capability to deliver depends on the driver itself and the vehicle using. So, in terms of capability, it is better for you to spend more on the transport or the vehicle that your employee is using rather than reducing it. So, you need to align your cost-cutting strategies with your business strategy. Third, list all the expenses and review and delete as necessary. Meaning, now that we are in a pandemic, we list all the types of expenses that we do for our business. Let's say salaries. Because of the pandemic, instead of 100 employees, only 10 employees are reporting. Is it worth it that we only have 10 employees, or we really have to get all the other 90 back into our mainstream? Can we afford it? So, isa-isahin natin yung mga expenses natin. Like, let's say, subscription sa isang magazine. Nung dati, nakasubscribe ka ng 3,000 a month sa isang magazine na hindi mo naman binabasa. Is it necessary? So, if it's not, you just delete all the items that are not necessary. So take time to go through all your expenses one by one. And also, this is a very common mistake for the other finance managers, no? Or accounting managers. Let's say, yung mga maliliit na expenses like transportation expense, which is, let's say, mga 1% of your total expenses, let's say, percent of your gross sales, no? Yung ibang mga managers, in my experience, they focus on these small expenses like 20 pesos. Tatanungin pa niya, bakit ka gumastos ng 20 pesos na to? While the other department is spending on interest that are not necessarily. Kumbaga, you already have money to pay for your small loan, but you forgot to pay it. Pero ang napagalitan mo yung messenger because you're cutting costs. So these are small items na trivial na maliit ang effect sa iyong bottom line as compared to monitoring all the other costs. So you be careful which cost to monitor because you might be spending too much time monitoring the smaller items which has lesser impact on the bottom line. So focus on the bigger items so that you have greater impact on the bottom line. Maybe you do not need to reduce the other expenses. 4, make your cost management plan sustainable. So if the cost management plan is not sustainable, let's say for this month, magtipid tayo lahat ng kuryente. So this month, bababa yung iyong kuryente. And the next month, nakalimutan mo na siyang i-manage. Nataas na naman yung kuryente. So the cost management plan should be planned so that it will be sustained. And you have to discuss all your cost management plan to your staff so that they are also into it. They are not resisting your cost management plan. Kailangan i-explain natin hindi lang sa managers, kung hindi pati sa staff, so that they are on board with the efforts of cost management. And last, be proactive, meaning fix the roof while the sun is shining. Hindi yung negative na yung bottom line mo, saka mo lang siya ita-try i-fix. Kung anong expenses ang kailangan mong i-reduce, kung saang area ka ba dapat magbawas ng tao. Minsan, dito ka bawas ng tao kasi malalaki sweldo nila. Yung pala, napakaraming tao rito na walang ginagawa. Sorry. So, let's be proactive. As managers, we should be on the lookout always for all the expenses that passes our table. Hindi yung pirma lang tayo ng pirma ng mga voucher, no? Sorry.
Baka may questions po yung ating mga viewers sa Zoom or even those who are watching from Facebook, baka pwede nyo po i-type in yung questions sa comment section dyan sa Facebook. Pero dito po sa Zoom, pwede po sa chat ay pwede nyo pong itanong. At saka meron din po tayo sa menti.com ng instructions po nandun naman po sa ating chat room.
Okay. Okay, I will discuss other cost-cutting strategies. I don't know if this is a concept that is familiar to you. This is called co-opetition or cooperative competition. This simply means it is a collaboration between business competitors in the hope of a mutually beneficial result. Example would be like sa aming hospital, in our hospital. So, as you all probably know, medical equipment and machines are very, very expensive. It is ideal sana na each hospital will only have a specific machine that they would carry. Let's say, dapat sana itong hospital A, siya lang yung merong CT scan, tapos yung kabilang hospital naman, siya lang yung merong MRI, so that the market, although shared, the participants in the competition will have a bigger share of the market and also lesser capitalization required. So it will be mutually beneficial for everybody. Or let's say, like in recent times, no, na napakamahal na ang face mask. Yung mga bulk order na dapat sabay-sabay na lang kami bibili para mas mura bibili. So, you cut cost by cooperating with your competition. Let's say, delivery ng isang item. Kung lima kayong nagpapadeliver, mas maliit ang cost. So, if you order at the same time, at nagkasundo kayong magkakakompetensya actually, but in the same industry, you will effectively reduce cost and everybody will benefit from the cooperative competition. So you still compete, but the competition will be very friendly so that you give a chance for each other to earn. Also, there's such a thing as economies of scale, meaning the more you produce, the lesser your production cost. Because the fixed costs are distributed to more items. That's why the per item cost will be reduced. Instead of, when you're cost cutting, instead of reducing the number of items that you produce, you do it in reverse. You produce more such that your production cost is reduced. Yun yung economies of scale. And then there's also economies of scope, where economic factors that make the simultaneous manufacturing of different products more cost-effective than manufacturing them on their own. Let's say you are a furniture maker. So lahat ng iyong waste or scrap wood, you turn into a byproduct or another product. So instead of producing this product B, you produce product A, and then the byproduct will be product B. That will be more cost effective than just producing product A alone and then producing product B alone. So think of 2 or 3 products that will complement each other or will have byproducts that you can also sell. Marami ito sa area ng agriculture, no? So yung mga fish food is a byproduct lang of another product. And then, ito yung recent natin na mga strategy, yung business process outsourcing or outsourcing ng mga ibang departments. Let's say yung accounting process mo, para hindi ka na mag-hire ng accountant, i-outsource mo na lang siya. Yung mga departments mo that is not your core competency, i-outsource mo lang siya. Let's say your sales department, you just hire a marketing partner so that they can sell your product. And more important now is the value of IT automation. Although for some, pagka sinabi nating IT and automation, it entails bigger investment. So meaning you spend more, but in terms of productivity, tumataas siya, nare-reduce din yung cost mo pag automated yung mga products, magiging mas mataas yung response mo sa client mo. So in effect, your business process is faster and you generate better sales. So instead of cutting costs, you actually spend more so that your productivity is enhanced and then your bottom line is improved. An example that what we did in ICMC is in our laboratory, we installed a laboratory information system. Also, we bought machines, which are expensive, pero ano siya, walk away yung machine so that the medtech will not be so required to do the test himself. So mas mabilis niya napoproduce yung result, mas satisfied ang clients, mas bumabalik yung clients. So we did not reduce the cost by buying the more expensive machine, but because mas mabilis yung response namin sa client, mas madali ring ma-recover yung cost of the machine. What else? Wait. Okay. It is important to do a vertical analysis of your statement of financial condition. Ano yung vertical analysis? It's simply identifying which expense item has a bigger share of the pie. Let's say, ang mataas mong cost ay salaries. Which in most industries, salaries yung pinakamataas. No? If that line item has a bigger percentage as compared to the total, when you reduce your cost, ang uunahin mo palagi is that bigger share in the cost. Doon ka muna mag-reduce. Bago doon sa ibang maliliit na item like, halimbawa, nagigil ka sa telephone expense, ayun pala, maliit lang ang share niya sa total expense. So, why bother reducing that when you can strategize on the other parts of the operation? So, you can do that better by doing a vertical analysis of the statement of financial condition. Okay, we only have, I think, around 2 slides. Siningit ko lang to because ito yung most recent problems ng mga industries right now, no? Costing the millennial way. So, most of our employees are in that age, in the millennial age, no? So, maraming mga baby boomers like myself, ang medyo nahihirapan to manage this millennial employees. Bakit? Bakit ba sila napakahirap i-manage, no? Because of bukod dun sa tinatawag nilang generation gap, no? Which is really understandable. We need to understand how the millennials think. Millennials are fond of job hopping. So, i-hire mo sila, after 3 months, ayaw na nila, lilipat na naman sila. Mamaya, pagka yung nilipatan nila, hindi nila nagustuhan, pabalik sa'yo, ma'am, pwede ba akong bumalik, etc., etc. No? So, bakit ba sila ganon? No? So that we understand them, kasi very costly ang mabilis na pagpapalit ng empleyado. Very costly yan para sa isang kumpanya in terms of training, in terms of yung hiring process itself is very costly. No? So, in order to keep these millennial employees, what do we need to do? Ang sinasabi nila, millennials, they need to be engaged. Meaning, kailangan ini-involve mo sila sa lahat ng aspeto ng operations. Unlike the older managers na binigyan mo na instruction, susunod lang. Millennials don't do it that way. They need to be engaged. They need to be involved with what management is doing. And if they don't see that, they walk away. If they don't see that you engage them, you don't consult with them, you don't talk to them, lilipat sila sa ibang company. They seek opportunities to learn and grow. Gone are the days na pag typist ka lang dyan for 5 years. No? Or pag teller ka ng isang bangko for 5 years. They need opportunities to learn and grow. And also, they need a sense of purpose. Bakit ba sila pumapasok araw-araw? This is their constant reminder that they need to move. Pag hindi na nila nakita yung sense of purpose nila, lilipat sila at lilipat ng company. And then, andito na naman yung company, magtitrain na naman siya ng bago. These are small incidents that are very costly because the training cost is big. Magtuturo ka na naman, 3 months, lahat ng errors nung nauna, sasaluhin ng bago ulit. No? So, we need to understand them so that they do not jump from one company to another. Also, medyo very mindful of the quality of management. Pag ayaw nila ng manager nila, magre-resign sila. They won't say anything, they will just resign, ayoko na po. And then, chances of advancement is extremely important to them. Hindi sila papayag na hindi sila gagalaw sa pwesto nila. They need to be able to move around and contribute. Yan yung bottom line. Why did I include this? Kasi nagiging part siya ng cost ng isang company na napakahirap i-manage sa ngayon. And then yung latest natin problem, which is my last slide, is costing and the new normal. Especially for hospitals, napaka-laki ng pagbabago sa costing. Because yung dati naming face mask na binibili namin ng piso, ngayon 28 each na. And we need to provide everybody with a face mask. And not once a day, but every 4 hours. No? So, itong mga cost na to, these are added costs that came from nowhere. So, we are right now having a hard time coping with this. And no matter how good the accountant is, talagang medyo hirap mag-cope sa new normal yung costings. No? So, ang focus ngayon ng mga company is that employee health and well-being is the priority. So, hindi na enough lang yung bigyan mo siya ng PhilHealth at bigyan mo siya ng HMO. No? Safety measures will need to be installed at the office premises despite the cost. So, may mga barriers, kayo nakikita dyan. Yung sa lobby, may mga alcohol. These are additional costs na wala dati. At the same time, bumabagsak yung sales natin dahil wala naman tayong increase in production, wala rin tayong increase in revenues. Pero tumataas ang cost natin. And it is important to streamline processes of operation. Kasi because we cannot afford 10 employees, dapat kayang gawin ng 5 empleyado yung ginagawa ng 10 empleyado. And you cannot just trim the number of employees. You have to streamline your process and operations para kayanin ng maiiwan na 5 tao. And then personnel will be drastically reduced in one area and added in other units. Let's say, yung gwardiya, kailangan dagdagan mo na yung gwardiya kasi dati, nakatingin lang yung gwardiya. Ngayon, kailangan niya kuhanin yung pangalan, tanungin kung may lagnat ba or kaya ng alcohol. Tapos ngayon, transportation and mobility is a struggle. Hindi makarating yung empleyado mo. So, pag hindi nakarating ang empleyado mo, also, mahirapan kang magpatuloy ng operation. So, ano mangyayari? The office will need to provide transportation and so that their staff will be mobile. Okay. Yung mga exporter, yung mga industry na nagde-depend sa mga product na imported, all these companies will reboot because huminto globally yung exchange of products and services. So, all these companies will need to rethink what to do these coming months and years because of the pandemic. Like a very good example is San Miguel. San Miguel Corporation. Diba, San Miguel Corporation, alak siya. But during the pandemic, ang pinamigay niya is alcohol. Ethyl alcohol is a main product or main ingredient of mga beer or inumin na nakakalasing. So, ang ginawa ni San Miguel Corporation, namigay siya sa mga ospital ng ethyl alcohol for disinfection. Now, they're surveying, hindi namin alam kung magbibenta na ba sila ng alcohol sa hospitals or not. So, most of the industries, nagre-repurpose sila because of the pandemic. And very critical right now is technology, innovation, connectivity. Schools are having problems because of connectivity. So lahat tayo, we will need to adjust and invest on technology and innovation. So the future is very challenging, but I hope with a small lecture, I have contributed a little knowledge, and that's the end of my slide. So thank you very much. Stay safe. And you can contact me through my email and the following numbers if you have questions. So, Sir Kerry.
Thank you, Ma'am Mel. So, ayan po ang ating contact information po ni Miss Mel. Nasa screen po natin. No? So, we have melkarasig@yahoo.com. And you can contact her at her Globe and Smart numbers flashing on the screen right now. So, let's thank Ma'am Mel for that wonderful presentation. So, now we will open the floor to questions. So, what we can ask everyone to do is to turn on their cameras so that you can call our attention also. And we will also have we have actually a few questions on menti.com already, so you can still post your questions on menti.com. Even for those who are on Facebook, just go to menti.com and enter code 87067. Glyza, are there questions on Facebook? I don't see any. Wala,
I'll check ulit, sir.
So I hope you can see the screen, Ma'am Mel.
Yeah.
Kita naman po, no? So we have a few questions already on the screen right now. One question, whoever asked this, you can turn on your audio, no? So we have a question here. People are assets. What is your perspective on cutting costs related to them? Should they be the last in the list to be cut? Why or why not?
Okay, who asked the question? Okay, I agree that people are assets. That's the number one asset of any company. Kaya tinawag silang human resource. Um, ordinarily, people should mostly cut the cost ordinarily. But right now, during the pandemic, ang unang-una talagang tatamaan is yung personnel. Because unang-una, kagaya ng nabanggit ko kanina, yung mobility nila masyadong hampered. And then, yung productivity nila, kung hindi sila makakarating sa opisina, would be really useless pag wala sila sa opisina. And there are certain jobs talaga that require presence of the employee. All companies, I think, will try to put people first and not cut any costs related to personnel. Pero with zero income, parang medyo mahirap talaga siyang i-protect right now during the pandemic.
Thank you, Ma'am Mel. I think Ma'am Mel also shared a very important lesson earlier. You have to be strategic when it comes to cost cutting. So make sure that it is aligned po with your overall strategy. So we have another question here. You mentioned strategic cost cutting. How important does having an encompassing company strategy relating to managing cost and relating it to managing cost and profit?
Okay. The reason why I mentioned strategic cost cutting is sometimes kasi nagiging arbitrary yung management of cost. No? It doesn't align with the vision of the company or the mission of the company or the current thrusts of the company kung saan papunta yung direksyon ng kumpanya. Sometimes nagiging kung ano lang yung pinakamalaking expense, yun na lang ang bawasan natin. No? If it's encompassing and it is aligned with your strategy, ang mangyayari, you choose specific cost na hindi masyadong nakaka-apekto dun sa iyong current direction ng kumpanya. Kasi otherwise, ang mangyayari niyan, pag kinat mo yung cost na yun, lalo kang aatras sa iyong direction, hindi mo ma-achieve yung purpose mo na pataasin yung iyong income. So it has to be really strategic and nakalagay sa isang process. Kung alin yung cost na babawasan mo at hindi.
Again, we invite the one who posted the question. If you have a follow-up question, just turn on your mic and call our attention. So, ma'am, we'll move to the next question. Based on your experiences, how can the old management and the young millennials interact well to better or to improve cost and profit? What are best practices you have experienced or delivered?
That is a very, very
interesting.
very sweet question. Especially in our industry, in the hospital industry. 90% of my staff is in the millennial age. And because the managers, like myself, nang umpisa talagang napakahirap i-manage ng millennials. No? You need to explain everything to them. Let's say, we need to reduce this cost. Bago nila siya susundin, kailangan i-engage mo sila. That's what I said kanina. You have to explain every detail. You have to sell your idea to them. Unlike before, na pag sinabi mo, umuwi ka na ng 4 o'clock, no overtime. You don't explain. Umuwi ka na lang. And employees will follow. But now, you have to explain everything to them so that they understand that what you are doing is to reduce costs and for the betterment of the company. You cannot just arbitrarily give directions or orders. I will not say na napakahirap sila kausap. It might be that it was difficult at first to understand how to deliver the changes, because normal naman kahit millennial or old management, hirap na hirap talaga mag-accept sa change. So ang pinakamaganda is to explain to them your purpose of the change, and then later on they will accept naman yung explanation.
Yeah, I think one thing that we as owners or MSMEs, entrepreneurs, managers have to consider is the availability of information. Madami pong madali po ang access to information ng mga tao na yun, hindi lang po mga millennials. Kaya po with the influx or with the availability of information, we can all imagine the number of questions that can be raised. So talagang totoo po yung sinasabi niya, Ma'am Mel, we do need to give some hand-holding pagdating po sa ating mga younger workforce. Kasi sila rin ay marami silang tanong na
and they always need to be reassured na you always need to justify kung ano yung ginagawa mo. And it's challenging at times because syempre ako, medyo sanay tayo na hindi tayo kine-question. Pero later on, you learn to adapt, and you just explain to them your purpose, and naiintindihan naman nila.
And that's actually a best practice that Ma'am Mel is sharing, is the ability to adapt. As owners and as entrepreneurs or as managers, we need to have that ability to adapt to our employees.
Yes.
It's not necessarily them adapting to us, but we need to also be flexible enough to the changing times. No? So thank you, Ma'am Mel. Next question we have here is once the business loses profit, what is the best solution or technique, or what advice can you give po? Pag losing na po yung business. Yung nagtanong po niya, please feel free to turn on your mic. Baka po mabigyan nyo rin linaw ano po yung industriya nito.
Yeah. As an administrator, very, very particular kami or yung management committee, MANCOM namin, on the bottom line. No? And bago pa maging loss, except lang ngayong pandemic, no? Pero bago pa maging loss, kailangan alam mo na kung saan area ka mag-a-adjust, kung saan area ka magre-reduce ng cost. But ako kasi personally, what I do is not necessarily reduce cost or cut cost, but I multiply the available revenues. Doon ako mas nagpo-focus kasi sa top line kaysa sa bottom line. Let's say, additional service na dati hindi ginagawa. So, ang naging strategy na ICMC really to give additional services na dati hindi nagagawa so that you can create additional income. Also, a strategy would be to reduce cost in areas na minsan kasi lalo na yung mga medyo maliliit na kumpanya, no, nagiging ang decision would be personal. Let's say, yung driver, 3 na. Pinsan ko yung isa. Kawawa naman. No, pero nalulugi ka na. Kawawa naman yung pinsan ko, walang hanap buhay. So, sometimes we have to really be separate doon sa ating personal para mag-profit yung ating negosyo. Kasi, syempre, as Filipino small, micro entrepreneurs, dyan talaga nagsisimula sa pamilya. Pero sometimes, no, yung mga ganong excess employees, kailangan medyo tough tayo. You need to be tough at times so that you can implement your strategic cost-cutting measures.
Thank you, Ma'am Mel. So yung nagtanong po, no, if you want to do a follow-up question, just feel free to turn on your mic. Our next question is, in small businesses, especially micro, what are the best practices for managing cost and profit? anong area ang pinakamahalaga po?
Okay. When we talk of small businesses or micro businesses, ang common na nagiging problema niya ay yung management ng resources. Management ng resources ng business. Sometimes kasi naka-fuse yung household management sa business management na hindi natin na-identify yung specific costs. Like yung mga, in my previous experience, yung maliit pa yung kumpanya, ultimo medyas naka-charge dun sa company. So you will not be able to identify what is your actual cost pagka nag-merge yung personal gastos mo sa hindi. Now, if you are able naman to separate, you try to monitor or isa-isahin mo yung cost mo, alin ba talaga yung kailangan o hindi. Let's say, ang ino-occupy mong office is a 20 square meter office costing 20,000. Pero kasya ka naman sa isang 10 square meter na lugar. Why would you opt for a higher rental when you can go to a smaller area? So, it really is nitpicking on the expenses, kung alin yung kaya mong i-forgo at alin yung hindi.
Ma'am Mel, since na-mention mo yung paghihiwalay po ng personal expenses tsaka business expense, do you think it's a good practice po as entrepreneurs para dito po sa ating mga MSMEs, lalo na po yung mga micro entrepreneurs? Swelduhan po ba nila dapat ang sarili nila?
The best way to manage it is sweldohan mo yung sarili mo. Let's say, if you intend to get 20,000 a month from your business, make it as a salary. And then, pagkasyahin mo yung 20,000 na yon sa pamilya or sa personal mong gastos para lumago yung negosyo. Kasi when you drain your business of resources, eventually magko-collapse yung negosyo mo. Kasi although yung grocery mo na sinama mo doon may resibo at legit at pwedeng makalusot sa BIR, pero hindi mo naman talaga doon ginastos yung negosyo, yung gastos na yon. Nade-drain mo lang yung expenses nung company mo, hindi mo makikita yung true income mo. Remember that your income is not equal to the cash in your bank. Hindi ko mo mataas yung laman ng bangko mo or ng bank account mo, ay kumikita ka na. It does not follow that if you have a lot of cash in your bank, ay mas mataas yung nakita mo. And it does not follow na pag wala kang pera sa bangko, ay hindi ka kumikita. So it just takes a lot of financial management to see if you are really earning or if you're really having profits or not.
Kaya maganda po balikan din natin yung ating natutunan from the previous sessions on the accounting equation, yung pong assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Tama po yung sinabi niyo, ma'am, pwedeng wala kang cash pero meron kang assets, di ba? Or pwedeng akala mo meron kang cash, ang dami mo palang liabilities. So hopefully with these programs na dinedeliver po ng DTI ay ma-improve ang ating financial literacy dahil napaka-importante po matutunan ang lingwahe ng negosyo, which is accounting. Thank you, Ma'am Mel. Our next question is, any cost can be considered as an asset? And then follow up, so it can be added to capital or to equity? Ang tanong po, any cost can be considered as an asset? Can it be added to capital or to equity?
Okay. Yung diniscuss natin kanina, dinifferentiate natin yung cost versus an asset. An expense pala, no? So, pag sinabi kasi natin cost, these are money spent to create another asset. Let's say you buy wood for furniture, that is cost and not an expense. Because you will create the finished goods for that cost. So that it is booked as an asset. Asset, remember, is not equal to your, is not the same as your capital or equity. Capital or equity is the money you put in the business. So magkalayo si asset at saka si capital or equity.
Opo.
You
So
cannot
para
add the asset to the equity. Cannot.
tama po. So ang asset po, hindi po yan pwedeng automatically equity. Kaya po meron tayong accounting equation, asset equals liabilities plus equity.
Yes.
Ang definition po talaga ng asset is anything that has future value to your business. So doon po kayo dapat maging maingat kung paano nyo po siya i-qualify either as an asset or
Yes.
as an expense. So yun po.
Anything that you can turn into cash is an asset.
That's right. Anything that has future economic value po to your
Yes.
business. Thank you, Ma'am Mel. I think this is our last question on the Menti. If you need to ask more, please just type it into menti.com, use the code 87067, or give us a chat or raise your hand right now. Our question on menti.com, can you kindly help inspire our MSMEs during this pandemic by sharing any cost that has become a source of income or of challenges right now that has become an advantage instead? Point is, pandemic is a big challenge but can also be an opportunity.
Yeah, yes, that is so true. However, sa industry na nalalagyan ko, more on the disadvantage kasi ang hospital ngayon because na of the higher cost of operations, no? Yun nga, kagaya ng sabi ko kanina, yun lang surgical mask. Dating piso namin binibili, ngayon 28 per piece na. So, and I have to provide everybody. Dati hindi naman naka-surgical mask yung mga nurses ko sa ward. Even the janitors are provided surgical masks. No? So, really for hospitals in particular, hindi siya nag-create ng opportunity kasi all the clients stayed away from the hospitals. No? So, kaya sa industry ng hospital, medyo hindi. Pero sa ngayon, na nakakabawi na siya, ang opportunity naman is to create new sources of revenue, kagaya ng mga bagong testing, na medyo mahal siya ngayon, pero nagiging opportunity for additional income also. Now, ang nakita ko ngayong pandemic na opportunity is yung lahat ng mga hindi nakaalis ng bahay this pandemic was able to create an opportunity out of it. Nagkaroon sila ng creativity on the kind of product that they will be starting up with. Nagkaroon sila ng panahon para gawin yung kanilang favorite lasagna or cake or even peanut butter. No? And it doesn't matter what age you are. Basta meron kang panahon at pagkakataon, nagawa mo itong opportunity. And I have heard people who became millionaires after the pandemic just selling face masks. So it's really how you grab the opportunity while it's there. So you enter the gap so that you create your income for yourself. Mas nagiging creative kasi yung mga tao pagka na susukol, kumbaga. No? So tama ka na it's a big challenge. Actually, naging bigger challenge siya sa mga established companies. So sa mga emerging businesses, opportunity to kasi yung mga naka-establish na negosyo, bigla siyang nawala. So it's time for the small industries to shine.
That's so true. Actually, ang nakita kong dumami rin is yung nga po yung online selling, no?
Yes.
So people who are servicing their customers right from their home. Kaya nga po may reminder ang BIR sa atin na Kung tayo po ay online seller ay mag-rehistro pa rin tayo. So nandito po ang DTI para po tulungan din tayo paano po i-rehistro ng tama ang ating mga online businesses. So DTI will help you with your business registration or your business name registration. Tapos kami po sa City Hall, we will help with your mayor's permit. And then we will then have to secure your BIR registration po. Then afterwards, then you can issue official receipt. So yun po, madami pong online sellers na yun, pati po yung mga delivery services, dumami na rin po. Napakalaking tulong po ang nabibigay nila sa ating mga mamamayan na naipit sa pandemya, no? Na naipit sa lockdown o naipit sa kanilang mga tahanan.
Yes,
so I think there's a lot of opportunities right now. We just have to wear our creative hats. Isipin lang po natin, ano po ba ang kulang na yun? Ano ba yung nawala before or after the lockdown?
There are also industries na naging segmented na dati buo yung product na yon. Ngayon, merong tatlong maliliit na tao na nagdudugtong-dugtong nitong negosyo na to. So, yun yung nag-create ng opportunity para doon sa maliliit na players, no? Which is good. Kasi sometimes these smaller players, sila yung mas nag-deliver ng mas magandang service. But we also need to be careful kasi lalo na sa food, yung handling ng food, we have had clients or patients na nag-order sa delivery, nagkaroon ng problema, etc. etc. So, I need to remind everybody na, especially when you're handling food, make sure that you properly handle the food that you are delivering. Kasi delikado din. Lalaki ang negosyo ng ICMC pagka handle yung food nyo na maayos.
And for our audience, so if you were not able to join us last time, meron po tayong webinar. It was our second webinar actually, entitled Food Safety. It was given to us by SGS Philippines. So we'll share the link later on Facebook. Pero nandyan lang po sa ating Facebook page ng Invest Balanga yung recording ng webinar na yon. Do we have other questions from the... So from Menti, I think that's it. But from our participants here in Zoom, baka meron po kayong tanong. You can actually turn on your mics right now while we still have the time of Miss Mel, who is very busy. Yun nga, administrator po ng isang hospital, malaking hospital natin dito sa Balanga. And again, thank you for that, Ma'am Mel, for sharing your time with us. No
problem, sir. No problem.
Baka may tanong po tayo sa ating mga participants.
No question po, sir, sa FB Live.
So we don't have questions from FB. How about from the chat room here on Zoom?
Wala na rin sa chat room, sir.
Okay, I think with that, we would like to ask everyone to turn on their cameras. Before we proceed with the next part, we just want to take a quick group photo while we have everyone's attention. We'll also give you instructions on how to secure your training certificates po, no? But can we ask everyone to turn on their cameras for a group photo there? You can turn on your mics also if you want to say thank you to Ma'am Mel. So, Edmer, can you do the honors of taking the screenshot?
Okay, so we'll have to take one picture for our batch for a while.
One bataan po tayo, no?
So let's do the one bataan pose po. 1, 2. Sige po. Thank you.
Next match. Pag po muna tayo aalis, ma'am, no? Meron pa po tayong gagawin. Very quick lang po.
Okay.
Okay na, Ed?
Okay na, sir.
Okay na? Nakuha na lahat?
Okay na po yung picture.
Alright. So, we just want to get the feedback from everyone. So not just those who are on the Zoom call, pero pati na rin po yung nandun sa Facebook Live para po magkaroon tayo ng training certificate from DTI. For those in government service, you could actually put this in your personal data sheet. No? Tsaka, all you have to do is you go to tinyurl.com/DTI SMERA 2020 feedback. Pa-share din ng link, Edmer, sa chatroom ng Zoom. Tapos Glyza pa-share din uli sa comment dun sa Facebook Live. So we have this client satisfaction survey. Once you click it, ito po ang una nyo makikita. Lagay nyo lang po yung first name nyo, middle initial, ang inyong surname, and then yung inyong address, contact number. Sorry about that, di ko napalitan. No? Pero yung title and date po ng webinar, pipiliin nyo lang po yung Managing Cost and Profit June 24. Isa po siya sa pagpipilian ninyo. And then for clients, for overall satisfaction, just choose a rating. You can write your comments, then you hit next. And then, sorry again, for the facilitator, please put Mel Karasig. That's Melinda Karasig. And then you rate her on her effectiveness. You can put your comments on the mastery of the topic and the ability to facilitate the discussion. And on programming methodology, the program flow, and then program contents. So pipili lang po kayo dyan ng very satisfied, satisfied, dissatisfied, tsaka very dissatisfied. And then on relevance and applicability of topics. For facilitator 2, skip nyo lang po yan. Just go all the way down. May next po kasi wala naman po tayong second facilitator. And then for program management, ganun din po, rate nyo po kami on the facilitation, on the venue. So we're on Zoom, so it really depends on our bandwidth. And then on the time allotted. So I think we are actually within the time of within 2 hours. So if you have questions, we take this opportunity to ask Ms. Mel. If you still have questions. So we're here until 4 p.m. actually. But if we finish early, then it's okay naman. Please help us on this question. What other training programs would you like to attend? So baka meron pa po kayong gustong idagdag na topic na gusto nyong gawin ng DTI Bataan para po sa ating SME Roving Academy webinars. And then also for other comments and suggestions on how we can improve our services. And then you hit submit, makakatanggap po kayo ng message na kayo po ay nakapag-complete ng feedback form. And then after that, we will be able to note your entries. Tapos gagawa na po namin kayo ng training certificate. Papadala po namin sa inyo through email. And also make sure you have registered also so that nakuha po yung inyong attendance, pati ito pong feedback form. And then we can generate your training certificate from DTI Bataan. Please join us again on Friday. All you have to do is register on tinyurl.com/DTI SMERA 2020. Our topic on Friday is actually for labeling, but using an online software called Canva. So libre po ito. So ating mga MSME po, no? Tuturuan po tayo ng ating speaker paano po gamitin itong software. Napakadali pong gamitin. Hindi nyo na po kailangan mag-Photoshop. Hindi nyo po kailangan mag-hire ng designer. Hopefully, matututunan niya, ibabahagi niya ang mga basics ng pagdating sa designing your own labels, designing your own logos, designing your own social media or Facebook campaigns. Our speaker is Mr. Rock Cleo. He's the CEO of the new agency. He's a design thinking facilitator, design sprint master, a creative director. He is notably a graduate of PUP and NUS in Singapore. So this is on Friday, 2 to 4 p.m., designing your collaterals online. So register lang po ulit tayo. We're gonna do it again on Zoom. Papadala po namin ang registration link or ang Zoom link afterwards. So again, on Friday po, no? And then next week, we have someone from AF Payments Incorporated. It's an Ayala company. Sila po ang gumagawa ng beep card. Kung kayo po ay nakapagsakay na ng MRT, I think doon yata siya mas madalas maggamitin. Yung beep card po, ito po ay programa ng ating speaker. He is the head of solutions development of AF Payments Incorporated. He is Mr. Johan N. Diaz. He's an MBA. from Asian Institute of Management, and he's going to talk about the marketing funnel, or basically one of the basic concepts of marketing. So sa ating mga MSMEs, malaking bagay po na matutunan natin to kung maintindihan po natin kung paano po ang proseso ng pag-convert ng isang potential customer into an actual customer. So, and haluan na rin po ni Sir Johan ng mga information and updates on how we are doing right now in the time of this pandemic and how MSMEs can utilize marketing to their advantage. So that's Mr. Johan Diaz next Wednesday, July 1, 2 to 4 p.m. Just register on tinyurl.com/DTI SMERA 2020. And then on Friday, July 3, we will talk about project management and online Kanban. So ako po ang magiging speaker ninyo on July 3. We'll talk about project management, how our MSMEs can utilize different or understand the different frameworks when it comes to the project management cycle. Pero ang maganda po dito na ibabahagi ko naman sa inyo is how to use an online software on project management at saka ano po ba itong Kanban. So mamaya pwede nyo po i-Google ano po ba ang Kanban. Kanban po ay isang sistema na ginagamit ng iba't ibang kumpanya, notably Toyota, and how they are able to streamline their processes through their Kanban system. And we'll try to do something online. There's actually a software that I can share with you. Gumagana po ito sa phone, gumagana po ito sa computer or sa desktop or laptop, at para sa akin, no, napakalaking bagay po, nakakatulong po sa aking trabaho at sa aking mga kasamahan in terms of collaborating and executing projects. So yan po. This is on Friday, July 3, 2 to 4 p.m. So again, just register on the same link. On July 8 naman po, we have Miss Samantha Beltran Tating. She's the owner, the partner and marketing director of Pulo, or Purveyors of Local. Dito po yan sa Balanga. The topic will be social media and business in the new normal. This is on July 8, Wednesday, 2 to 4 p.m. So tutulungan po niya tayo paano pa gamitin ang Facebook tsaka Instagram para sa inyong mga negosyo. And related to social media, YouTube naman po. How to use YouTube for your business by Direk Aquio. He's the founder of Hanash Pilipinas and Money Growers PH. So tuturuan niya po tayo paano po gamitin ang YouTube para sa ating mga kanya-kanyang negosyo. So abangan niyo po yan, July 10, Friday. Just register on the same link and then we'll take care of everything else. So if you have questions po sa ating Invest Balanga team, no? So again, thank you to my partners here, Edmer and Liza, for helping me execute this with our speaker, Miss Mel. And of course, our friends from DTI for allowing us to actually execute this for them, itong SME Roving Academy. Also our private sector partners, Inspire and JCI Bataan. So if you have questions, just call us at 0472370473 or SMS 0906-377-4614. You can email us at investbalanga@gmail.com or visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for @investbalanga. If you have questions about this webinar, we can always go back to this recording. Nandito po ito sa DTI Bataan Facebook page na po. So moving forward, lahat po ng SME Roving Academy webinars sa DTI Bataan na po natin mapapanood. Hindi na po sa Invest Balanga at saka sa JCI Bataan. So thank you for that, Ma'am Nelin. Thank you for that, Miss Lay, for allowing us to broadcast this live on your Facebook page. Again, I invite everyone on the call right now. If you have any questions or if you'd like to share with us your products, we still have a few more minutes. Or if you'd like to say something to Ma'am Mel, now's the time po. You can unmute our microphones.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sino po yun? Ano pong business nyo, ma'am? Share nyo naman po para malaman din namin ano pong mga businesses ang nandito na yun. Wala si Sir Jonathan, no?
Wala
Nandito,
po, sir.
nandito si Architect. We'd like to recognize the presence of JCI Bataan President BJ Banson. I think he's on. Is he there? Press BJ.
Might be away, sir.
Might be away. So, Ma'am Mel, do you have any parting words to our guests?
Maraming salamat sa pakikinig, and any question, I'm available and open to answer your question anytime. You have my contact details, so mag-text lang kayo or mag-email.
We can send it to you. Just ask us, send us a message later if you need to get the contact info of Ma'am Mel. Or of course, this will be recorded so you can watch this again on Facebook through the DTI Bataan page. Miss Lay, Ma'am Lay, thank you po. Pakisabi po kay Ma'am Nelin na
Thank you po.
maraming salamat po.
Thank you po. Miss Mel, thank you po.
You're welcome.
To our MSMEs in present right now, no? Here on Zoom and also on Facebook Live. Thank you po sa inyong oras. Kung may questions po kayo, lapitan nyo lang po kami. Sasagutin po namin yan kaagad. So, in behalf of Mayor Francis Garcia, thank you everyone for joining us. And also in behalf of Ma'am Nelin Kabahog, Provincial Director of DTI Bataan, on behalf of Inspire, on behalf of JCI Bataan, thank you for being with us here today for Managing Cost and Profit, the 5th webinar of the DTI SME Roving Academy. Maraming salamat po and have a great day. Thank you po. Assalamualaikum.